So guys, many people have been criticizing the Tinubu's government. This time it's coming from a former ambassador. He has come out to criticize the way the spokesperson for the Tinubu's government are coming out to deny the genocide with all the evidence all over the places. Now, this is coming from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was on a program to say there is no genocide, and he tweeted and said, I appeared on Piers Morgan's flagship program, Piers Uncensored, where I presented a factual and contextual perspective on the misleading narrative and allegation of religious persecution in Nigeria. My explanation, supported by verifiable data, may not have conformed to certain preconceived views. However, for the sake of integrity and transparency, it is essential that the full interview be aired exactly as recorded, without edits and selective omission. Nigeria's truth must not be distorted to fix external bias. So he attended this program and is now warning the owner of the show to make sure he publishes the video the way it is, so that they don't exaggerate. So guys, a whole lot is happening, but guess what? Nigerians have bashed out at this minister, for coming out to say that there is no genocide happening. This is a Muslim. Tell me how he's going to be the one to speak for Christians who are the people experiencing all this. Now, this person reacted and said, you cannot downplay already existing evidence of Christian genocide happening in Nigeria daily. I'm sure Piers did not ask you the right question or ask you to analyze some video evidence of a massacre. Then we watch you lie in defense on international TV. Bunch of disgraceful. And this person said, it's unfair to claim otherwise because there is evidence everywhere. The US does not intervene without facts, and current government were the ones that first reported the issue to the US as opposition. And this person here said, Minister, you are only doing the job you are paid for. Christians are being wiped out in the north. I was a victim. Keep gaslighting the world. Soon it will get to your doorstep. And this other person here said, Honorable Minister, the effort you all put in disputing the claim is all we are clamoring for from government to address the rampant attacks going on in northern Nigeria daily. And this other person here said, you think a 30-minute stint with Piers Morgan is going to erase decades of systemic wiping out of Christian communities and unhinged brutality going on in Nigeria, with the government refusing to act, and you call that our story? Think again. And this person here said, you lie. Carry Christian leaders from the north to these programs to tell them their reality. Not you, a Muslim, a member of the oppressive class, doing media around for Christians. The world sees through your deceit. Wow. This other person here said, the genocide is well documented by Open Doors International. You won't get the truth from this dishonest government minister trying to launder the image of an irresponsible government. And this other person here said, at Piers Morgan, whatever the government official from Nigeria tells you, take it with a pinch of salt, as they are complicit in the killings happening in the country. Otherwise, why wait for Trump to make a threat before they sit up and pay more attention to insecurity? Who funds it? Who is funding it? And this person said, don't believe anything he says. He's speaking for the same government whose policy is to integrate repentant Boko Haram into the military. These terrorists that massacre Christians have never been jailed. Instead, they are handsomely rewarded. It's deliberate. And this other person here said, the manner you guys are going about this genocide is shameful. Gumi, the terrorist negotiator, is in Turkey saying Christians bury empty coffins. You here with your own narrative in the face of overwhelming, evidence. And this person says, so what TV does Piers Morgan work for? Yes, it's BBC. And who owns Nigeria? It's Britain. Who supported the biggest Nigeria genocide of Christians in 1964 to 1970, in which over 3 million Nigerians were murdered by Nigeria over 3 years? It was BBC. May Nigeria happen to you? So these are some of the reactions from Nigerians. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Now take a look.
The Nigerian federal government, while addressing the allegations of religious persecution in the country, rejected the United States designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Reacting to this latest development, Reverend John Joseph Hayab, chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria in the 19 northern states and the FCT, has urged Nigerians to embrace dialogue as the best way to resolve the country's challenges. The chairman, who was reacting to the response it generated from many segments of the community, both local and international, urges dialogue rather than anger to the comments made by foreign leaders. Joining us on the show to discuss the allegations of religious persecution in the country is Reverend Joseph Hayab, Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, in the 19 northern states and the FCT. Good morning, Reverend Hayab, and you're most welcome to the morning show.
Thank you for having me, and good morning to all of you there and to all our viewers.
Excellent. Let's go straight in. We've been having this conversation now since that post by the U.S. president claiming that there is a Christian genocide happening, particularly in the northern part of the country. Now, you're the chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria in the north, so I'm sure you'd have a better picture of what is happening. So my first question to you, which has been asked to a number of people with differing answers, is this: would you consider what is going on right now against Christians in the north as a genocide? And then going back to your take around conversation, dialogue as a response to the U.S. What does this mean? Can you break that down further for us? What does dialogue, or what would dialogue look like?
Let me go straight to your question. Can I consider what has been happening as genocide against Christians? And my straightforward answer is yes. Y-E-S, yes. Because these things have been there. But let me quickly put this picture. We have different groups and different people who view this differently. Number one, we have people who chose to deny that there is genocide. In their own thinking, there's no Christian persecution even in northern Nigeria. We have also those who deliberately chose to downplay this matter. In their own thinking, claims by Christians that they are being persecuted or they are being killed is just for them to get sympathy. We also have this group who deliberately also chose to misrepresent. Their own is to keep misrepresenting the entire conversation, framing it as it is just only farmers-herders conflict. Well, we know as victims that it is not. And then we have the last group, those who probably are sympathizers of the perpetrators or sympathizers of victims. So anytime you listen to this conversation, you have this thing going. But as I've said in many fora, that the truth about it is that anybody who comes out and say that there's no Christian genocide, there's no Christian persecution, is not fair. It's not fair to the Christians of northern Nigeria, neither is it fair to the victims and their families. Because some of us who are talking today, we've been around and we have buried many in numbers. We can give those numbers and those incidences with dates. Long even before Boko Haram came up. So the killings have always been there. To just fast track it, you begin with issue of Sharia crisis in 2000. Over 2,000 people died, and we know what really happened. We buried them. In just 2 years after, the Miss World Beauty Pageant crisis came up, over 300 people were killed. We know what happened. We know the people we buried. I used to say this not for any reason, so that you don't think I'm telling you stories I read from books. I was part of the burial. I actually did the burial. So it's not a story. We knew what happened in 2006 about the Danish cartoon crisis. And then Boko Haram came up and further make it big. Kill our pastors, burnt our churches. The fact is that, like the Baptist church that I belong, many of our churches have to shut down completely in Maiduguri and in most of the part of the northeast due to Boko Haram. Boko Haram were not just targeting people, they were targeting Christians. They publicly came, and thank God, ISWAP and other terrorist organizations have saying it publicly that, look, they will not stop tormenting or they will not stop persecuting Christians. But when you ask me as a Christian, is it just about killings? It goes beyond that. There are so many things we have faced. We face a situation where our children cannot be admitted in certain universities that are public universities, and their crime is not because they are not qualified, they are Christians. We face a situation that even if they go to that school, you will have mosques and places of worship for other religions, but they don't have a place to worship. So every Sunday, they will be changing classroom for them. You're not going to worship here today. You're not going to worship here next week. So they don't have a permanent place to worship. And we ask ourselves, where? I, Reverend Hayab, have fought even in public media that there should be no federal institution in Nigeria where a citizen of Nigeria, a son of a Nigeria, will not be allowed to exercise his right. But our children suffer that. Look, I'll give you an example. There is a resource center by the Catholic in Kaduna, near the Lugat Hole roundabout. In 2000, There were many priests. I remember one of the priests I will always remember was is Professor Peter Bona. He is a professor, a Reverend Father, a professor. They chased them out of that place, burnt all those centers. So Christians have suffered so many things that we don't just need to keep repeating it. And that's why we say first acknowledge that something went wrong. But let's look, how do we correct what went wrong? But when you say that there was nothing wrong, then we are not going to correct it. We'll keep pretending and keep lying to ourselves. If we want to correct it, first we acknowledge that something went wrong. Christians have been killed, and truly we've buried many.
Reverend, thank you so much for that insight. And, you know, it's always very valuable to have somebody who has first-hand experience and a first-hand account of some of the things that transpired. What I found to be very profound in what you said is that you also documented what preceded Boko Haram. Now, you know, we frame this conversation through the lens of terrorism, and we know Boko Haram to sort of be the launch pad of terrorist insurgency in this part of the world. I'd love for you to break down what you attribute the ideology or the group motivation to have been prior to Boko Haram, because that is a designated terrorist organization. So which group or which ideology was pushing this prior to the emergence of Boko Haram and other groups that have come up since then?
Well, if you quickly also I can take you back to late 1970s when the Matetsine happened. The only challenge is that at the time of Matetsine, there was no use of the term terrorism. But what Matetsine did was exactly terrorism. When Riyad Bonke came to Kanu and to just launch his crusade, fundamentalists came out and killed people in hundreds. It was also terrorism. But probably because at that time, there was no term, the use of term terrorism. You will agree with me that terrorism became common after 9/11. So, but there has been killings. There has been a lot of evil going on in our soil in the name of religion. So, Boko Haram seems to be the most official terrorist group that came out publicly to declare their stand against any other faith. They stand against Christians. They kill pastors like Oji. They kill Sylvester Osanabo. They kill many. So,
Reverend, my question to you is, what
the ideology is that Islam or nobody.
Extremists?
The ideology simply is that anybody who do not believe in their brand of Islam is an infidel. And especially those who are not even associated with Islam are infidel. So that was the ideology. The ideology is Islam and Islam alone. And that's why they apply it to resources, they apply it to education, they apply it to development, they apply it to anything. Once you don't belong to, then you are an infidel.
And were there specific leaders? Were there specific leaders who used to drive this?
Yes, of course, there are specific leaders they know. As I'm speaking, Christians who have been all enough in northern Nigeria will know them. I remember in 1986, one particular leader came out publicly and said that, I quote, that according to Islamic teaching, a Christian cannot lead him. And again, he cannot also be led by women. And it became a heated issue in 1986. And I remember in 1987, there was a local government election. Then Kaduna local government was won, not busted or divided as it is today. And the Christians came out and said, okay, if that is the case, we are going to show that we are in this town. They went and searched for a pastor called John Aboki and voted for him to become the local government chairman of Kaduna local government then. And in the word of that particular leader who said that, they voted one Grace Chechet to become the counselor of his ward, just to correct that. But that kind of teaching have already entered some extremists, and they believe that a Christian cannot be. And that
Reverend,
is not good for a country like Nigeria.
Reverend.
Yes, Hussein.
Please, I want clarity this morning. I'm happy that there's a shift in narrative, but this was not what you were saying when the fact-finding mission happened that involved Mike Arnold and the government person, Reno Mokri, that was represented. This was not what you were saying then. What you were saying was entirely different. So please, can you throw more lights on what transpired in that fact-finding mission? Also, this was not what you were saying when you had those meetings with Daniel Bwala. What changed? Have you seen the lights now, Reverend?
Okay. Thank you very much for putting up this question, because I give you an opportunity to clear a misconception. From the first word, I had just repeated what I said in that interview now, and I have the full video. Whoever did one small video to blackmail me then did not know that I had the full video. From the first word, I simply said, I am Reverend Joseph John Hayab, the chairman of CAN in the 19 Northern State and FCT. And anybody who said that there is no killing is a liar. I can share that video with you, Rufai, so that you will know that something went out behind the scene. But when I finished explaining that, I said the only thing that as Christians we will not support is for someone, because there was a comment around that time of a comedian that said the total number of killing was 100,000, and then another said no, it's not 100,000, it's 500,000, and I clarified that there's no one that have killed 100,000 as at that time, or 500,000. And so I think either Mike Arnold or someone played a script and just went by the side. When you look at that video, you will see I was being picked by the side, and it did not take me what I said from minute 1 to the second minute and just take some seconds in between the third minute and now put it as if I said something. Fortunately for me, a young man was there standing and he videoed everything I said from first word to the last word. So when you watch it, then you will know the drama surrounding Nigeria. So I don't think there's any problem. Because the visit of Boala to the National CAN, thank God that the National CAN came out immediately and also refuted. You can see the misinformation, the twisting. I've talked about misrepresentation. The Boala team came to see our national leaders. Instead of discussing honestly, they just wanted to catch them on camera with group photographs, and they came out and said that our national president said the so-called genocide. And our national president never said so. Even the first report that came out to misrepresent CAN, one of our directors was quoted to have said that. And we sat him down. And he told our national leaders that he never said that. He was said out of context. I think one of the most dramatic aspects of this conversation is what we are seeing. Did you observe the video? The video is showing that I was in a meeting with Islamic leaders. Can someone tell me whether I've ever been in such a meeting? I have been part of some controversy sometimes.
Are you saying
the way people want to catch me, and they don't know that I...
No, Reverend, sir. Because, Reverend, you know why I was shocked when I saw you on that fact-finding mission? Because I know you since the days of El Rufai and how you came here and you stood tall and you spoke against El Rufai. So when I saw you in that fact-finding mission, I was surprised. Are you saying that those that organized the fact-finding mission came to manipulate the system? And why were you part of it in the first place when they organized that manipulation? Why did you even go across people like that?
I don't want to conclude. If their intention was to manipulate, their intention was to get facts. And what was the fact? I gave them raw. And I have all that interview on tape. Not anything, on tape. The fact is that the day I had a conversation with Mike Arnold, first, he was using the first 1 minute manipulative video. But when I sent to him the full video, he now said, yes, I admit that you did say this. You did say this. I don't know what happened, because the video also shows me something. Now, when Mark Arnold was seated by my side and we started the interview, he then moved towards my left or right. What was he? Then probably either him or his colleague were the one. They asked me to even wait and have a meeting with the Muslim. I said, no, I'm not here to debate. I've put my facts across that Christians are being killed, and anybody who said that contrary is lying. The fact is that the last part of the video, let's even repeated that the reason why we are where we are is because of denial. Admit it and let's get here.
Reverend, let's talk solution, but you have to send the original video to be able to clear yourself so that the people can see it.
Yeah, I will.
Let's talk solutions. Solutions to this matter.
I'll
start to wrap up. Solutions to this matter, Reverend.
Yeah, the solution is simple. See, you can't tell someone who is a victim, who is in pains, that his cry about his pains is not true. Once we stopped doing that, then we will find solution. Let's admit that, yes, people came and killed Christians, and they came in the name of religion. And which religion? They came as Islamic fundamentalists. No Christian is saying that Muslims had a meeting and asked some people to go and kill them. But Christians are saying that fundamentalists, terrorists, came in the name of Islam and killed Christians. When we acknowledge that fact, then we've started a journey of healing. Number two, As a nation, when we begin to talk honestly to one another and understand the feelings, the cry, the pains that people are going through, then people will trust any conversation we bring on the table. But when we see people in pains and we don't bother, like someone telling me that Trump is coming with an American agenda. First, I ask you this question. If Trump had an is having an agenda, what about your own agenda that have been killed and you didn't care? Before you tell me about Trump agenda, have you shown concern when I was killed? Have you shown concern when I was burying people in large number? Did you show concern when I was grieving? You even mocked at us. You even laughed at us. So if you want to bring Trump agenda, you've not started the conversation. Think of me as a Nigerian. Think of me as a fellow neighbor. Think of me as a citizen and treat me with that respect. Give me the respect I deserve. I don't need to wait for Trump for that. But if you fail to do it and Trump say he's going to come, let him come. At least he will make you know that you are not the only one who is watching. And listening to what Trump says, Trump never said he was coming to fight Nigeria. I know there's a twisting of all these things. Trump simply said, go after these terrorists. If you don't go after them, we can come and go after them. So who is afraid of Trump coming to Nigeria? Probably he has an hidden agenda or something to do with terrorists. But the government can also come out and say, hey, we've had enough of this. We were taking position from now henceforth. Anybody who torments a fellow citizen, a Nigerian, because of his identity, whether tribal, whether religion, there will be a law, there's a law about it, and we will deal with him.
All right.
If those who are causing this problem know that government will come after them,
yes,
and there are structures, I even suggest to government, you can put up a task force in charge of religious freedom, who will monitor, investigate, advocate, and prosecute those who infringe on other people's rights. Then people will know the game is over.
All right, thank you. That was actually the question I was going to ask you. In one sentence, Reverend, do you think so? Trump coming in, fighting the terrorists and this task force, would that guarantee religious freedom in the North? One sentence.
In reality, we really don't need Trump to fight. We're supposed to, as a sovereign country, fight. But a situation where you are hungry and a visitor comes to give you food, the temptation is that you will eat the food because you will not allow yourself to die of hunger.
So guys, you have seen it for yourself. I don't know what you make of what is happening. Nigerians are really not happy with all that is going on in this country, you know. Like the Igbo people will say, when you carry another person's corpse, you feel like you are just carrying a wooden stick. You don't feel like this is somebody, you know, this is somebody's life. That is exactly what we are seeing from the Nigerian government. The way they are denying this genocide just shows that they are purely detached from the reality Nigerians are going through, honestly. It's really so sad to see that the government officials who are supposed to be the ones to protect the citizens are the ones going on to say, no, there's no Christian genocide. We just wonder what they call what is happening today in Nigeria. Anyway, guys, I'm just going to drop it here. Let me know what you think about all this. Many people have been calling out the Tinubu's government that they are the ones that first reported this case to the USA, and now they are looking for scapegoats, you know. Now, Amaechi has also been seen trying to remedy himself because he is also among those who are said to have, you know, to have reported Jonathan to the US, and there was a time a headline thread that US wanted to jail or Jonathan and all that. So you can see the role they play. It has come back to haunt them. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.